Hi, this is Sierra from Sierra T Designs. Thank you for joining me on my very first YouTube video. I have a really simple watercolor thank you card for you guys today, so let's jump right in. I first took my watercolor paper and I stuck it down to a hardboard using some purple tape. I have the Nuvo Shimmer powders that I'm going to use to do the watercolor. I have Cherry Bomb, Violet Brocade, Atlantis Burst, and Blue Blitz. We're going to start with Cherry Bomb and Violet Brocade. I just put a little bit down on my glass mat, and then I like to add a few drops of water to it and then blend it with my watercolor brush. You could use any kind of watercolor brushes you like to use. I personally am going to use my Royal Zen and Langnickel. I have them in flat. I have a 1 inch, a half inch, and a 3/4 inch. I am going to use a couple of brushes just because I don't want to have to wash it every time I go to mix colors. And here you can see my water turns pink because the first time I did this, apparently I did not clean my brushes as well as I thought I had, but that's okay. It pretty much is only a little bit of color, and when I put the water down, you'll see that it actually goes on clear, so it doesn't really change the color of my paper. But when you put the Nuvo Shimmer powders down on your glass mat, really be careful when you tap them because you'll end up with some out anyway. Don't squeeze the bottle. It'll get everywhere and it's just quite a mess to clean up. But you can see on the bottom of my first page there that I actually got some purple on it, even though all I did was tap the bottom of the Nuvo Shimmer powder. So they're really, they like to get everywhere, which is kind of funny. So here I'm using my pipette just to put a little bit of water on top of the Cherry Bomb. And then I'm going to take a different brush. Oh, I'm going to put some purple down first, sorry. And then I'm going to take a second watercolor brush and I'm going to use it to put the Cherry Bomb down underneath the purple. I'm kind of trying for an ombre. I'm going to do it with the purple and the pink. And then on the second page, I'm going to do it with the green and the blue. And kind of just work them down the page slowly with quite a bit of water. We're going to keep working down slowly. I like to go just past the middle of the page just to give it a little bit of time to kind of blend, and then I'll blend my pink up into it. So here I'm taking up the pink and I'm working it up the page to blend it into the purple. So you guys, this is going to be kind of funny. This card did not come together as easily for me as it did the first time. I recently made this card as a thank you card. My husband and I just recently got married, and I made this as one of my thank you card designs, and I loved it. So I really wanted to remake it and make a video of it. And it just would not go together for me. There's a couple of mistakes in here that you'll see, and that's okay. I fixed them, but the first version of this went together way better than this version did, but that's okay. I'll show you where they are when we get going here a little bit. So I did put a little bit more purple down on my glass mat and added a couple of more drops of water to it. And then I'm going to work the purple down a little bit farther. I wanted it to be a bit of a stronger color, still a pretty subtle color, because I do kind of want it to be like a subtle fade. And of course, watercolors as they dry will fade back regardless. So now I'm going to set the purple and pink aside, and I'm going to work on the blue and green. So I'm going to wet the paper first, get it fairly damp. I shouldn't say that, sorry, not fairly damp, lightly damp. Like, you want the color to want to shift a little, but you don't really want it to like pool or create any big pockets of color. So, and here we go, we're going to tap a little bit onto the glass mat. I've got the blue, which is the Atlantis, no, sorry, that's the Blue Blitz, and then the Atlantis Burst is the green. So I'm just going to mix them back up. I did wash my brushes in between, so there wouldn't be any color from the other two colors on there. So I'm going to work the blue up from the bottom. Now I kind of wish that when I was doing this, I actually had picked maybe the purple instead of the green, because as you see me put the green on here in a few minutes, it's just not, it doesn't stand out very well. Sadly, it's just a very subtle green, and I could have done another layer, which would have, of course, intensified the color, but I didn't. I kind of want it to be a bit of a subtle blend. So you just like the color differential here, like as I've put the green down, it's just, you don't really see the green really well. And I kind of wish I had put the purple in place of the green. I think a blue into the purple would have been really nice, or even the pink actually. and then had a little bit of a purple blend in the center as they mixed together. But I put the green down, and I really wanted to go with it and see what I could do. So the green's gonna be a bit subtle, which if you like a subtle watercolor is a good thing. Okay, so here we go. Here's the big reveal, and I can't get tape down straight. Like, you're gonna see right here as I lift up the centerpiece that it's not straight. And I was really trying to get the centerpiece straight, but I guess my tape, because I did the two pieces, they didn't go well together, and that's okay. I'm going to trim them down here in a second, and you'll see that it still works out. I just didn't really create a border around the colored pieces, but I will with the panel at the end, so that's okay. So the cut down size is a 3 1/4 by 4 3/4 size, and it's going to go on, of course, an A2 sized base. So I am using my powder tool here because I am in Canada and it is winter time. It is very, very, very dry. So you'll see I'm using quite a bit of it to try to get my embossing ink on, and then my embossing powder not to stick all over this watercolor panel. And the watercolor panel is dry at this point. I'm gonna line up my magnets to hold my watercolor paper in my mini Misti. And then I've got the Simon Says Thank You Flowers stamp set. I will have all of the supplies linked and listed below the video, as well as on my blog if you want to go check that out. My blog will be the first listing in the information on below. So I'm lining it up, and then I'm going to swing the door of my Misti down and use my Versamark ink, which is a very sticky ink. And I'm going to ink it up a couple of times. Because this is a watercolor card, it's quite textured, and I like the cold press, so I want to get a really good impression. So I'm going to swing the door shut and use my fingers to kind of press pretty well. I'm actually going to lift it up, and I'm going to tip it to look into the light, because if you know, embossing ink is difficult to see. So I do tip it into the light so I can make sure that it's gotten a good impression. So I do swing it down, and I'm going to ink it up again because I don't know that I got a great impression, and you're going to see when I actually emboss it that I did miss a few spots. But I'm going to show you how I chose to fix that, and this is where things went a little bit wrong again. I'm going to be honest with you. This card just didn't quite go as well as I had hoped. So here I have my Brutus Monroe embossing powder. This is the Alabaster White, which is a beautiful white embossing powder. And I sprinkle it on, and I have my little coffee filter underneath to catch all the thing. Now, I've recently discovered that it's actually a lot better to have your card flat, like I'm going to do here, to do the embossing, because I find it actually kind of pushes it all off if you do it sideways. So from now on, I'm hoping, after the few videos that I've done, I'm hoping I'll remember that. So I did do the purple one as well. I stamped in the ink, and I'm now putting on the embossing powder. And I'm tapping quite a bit off because because I'm in such a cold climate, the embossing powder really likes to stick to what I'm doing. So I tap it quite a few times, and then I just decide to go with it because it's not getting any better. But you can see in the tea there that there's quite a bit that has kind of fallen off. And I'm sorry this isn't in a great frame. I'll be better with framing as we go along. This is my first video, so it's a lot of learning curve going on. So I heated up my heat tool off to the side there as I was putting on the embossing powder. You kind of want it hot just so that it doesn't warp your paper as much. So here you see I have a jelly roll pen, and I'm kind of filling in any of the areas that the embossing powder didn't really stick. This works if you let it dry before you go and try to do anything else with it. See, I didn't let it dry, and you're going to see that it gets all over my hand in a little bit, and I smudged it on the pink and purple one a little bit. So if you do this, which it worked, it looked really good, it's just that of course I didn't give it a chance to dry, so it wiped right back off, which is too bad because it kind of fixed. Now, I could go back afterwards, after I've stuck it all down and done everything I'm going to do with it, and redo it, which I probably will before I actually mail it to anybody. But if you give it a chance to dry, it won't smudge around. Because here you're going to see I'm going to fill in the T and I fill in the H a little bit. And I kind of, jazz them up a little bit, less holes in them. And then I go to glue them down to the card base. and I smudged it all over my hand as I was putting glue on. So don't do that if you decide to remake these cards. Just give them a minute to dry, and then you can go and glue them down. So I have my Nuvo Deluxe glue here, and I'm gluing them down to an A2 folding card base. I have a side fold. I like to use side fold. I don't generally use top fold cards, just personal preference. I don't really know why I don't. I just forget that they exist most of the time and never use them. So I'm going to use a couple of acrylic blocks to weigh this down so that it sticks better. And I'm going to do the blue one now. And then I'll move the acrylic blocks over to the blue one. Next, we're going to have a little bit of fun with some Nuvo gems in the crystal color. And you're going to see what I'm talking about here in a minute. And I'm also going to use a crystal katana to lay the gems. And I'm really struggling with the crystal katana. Do you guys have any tips for how to use them? Because mine... You're going to see as I struggle, I'll have to pick them up and put them down, and I just really struggle. So my interesting little thing with this, you know when you buy a container of these gems and you lift off the plastic that holds the jar shut and there's a whole bunch of gems stuck to the top of the jar? Don't try to use those, because they're very, very sticky. And they stick to each other, and they stick to the lid, and they stick to everything. So you're going to see me kind of fighting with them. I didn't want to waste any. So I put them all in my little container there. And I just so badly wanted to be able to use every gem that I got. And I do. I kept them. But they just... they're a pain to lay down. I don't mind so much because I don't want to waste anything, but they are more of a struggle. And then when my katana doesn't seem to really pick anything up, they really seem to be a lot of work to get them to... See, there's two stuck together right there, and I had to separate them. It just seemed like a lot more effort than it should have been. I don't know. I don't know if it's just me and it's just my new katana that's a bit odd, or if it's just I'm not using it properly, or maybe it's just not sticky. I don't know. So if you guys have any tips on that, please let me know, because I'm just a little confused as to the best way to be using this. So you're going to see me here play with crystals for a while. I actually cut a bunch of this out so you didn't have to see it. And yet still, we're going to spend like a few minutes of this, me playing with crystals and moving them around and removing them. I guess I could have cut it a bit more, but I kind of like to see where people like to lay them. And this is all haphazard. I'm just laying them. There's no real rhyme or reason as to where I'm putting them. I'm just kind of moving them around and playing with them a bit and just trying to decide what I like. I do an uneven amount because I find unless you're going to do a set pattern, it looks odd to the human eye if you do an even amount, if you don't have them placed in an exact pattern. So I kind of just scattered them about the card and I just kind of had fun with it. And then I glued them down with my Nuvo Deluxe glue and kind of pushed them into place if they didn't quite lay down with the other side of the crystal katana. So what did you guys think of my first video? If you've made it this far, that's amazing. I've loved having you. Please leave me a comment and tell me how I'm doing, or if you think of anything I can do to improve, that would be wonderful. I have a few videos recorded that I cannot wait to edit and get up, and I plan to upload quite often. And once I get a bit of a rhythm with the editing and the voiceovers and adding music and that kind of thing, but once I've got that going, I hope to upload fairly regularly. I'm sorry if you've heard the cats in the background here. Chris and I, we foster animals for our local shelter, and we also have a few cats of our own, so there's usually a lot of noise going on, and it's not easy to get a quiet moment with all the kittens running around and being super cute. So I'm going to show you a close-up of the two cards that we made today. I'd love to have you back, so if you'd consider subscribing, that would be amazing. Thank you so much, guys, and have a great day. Bye-bye.